going to tell you what Festival of Love is about and then why Festival of Love. We cover all aspects of love. And love is so broad. There's Eros love, which is a love, the most common love that is celebrated during Valentine's Day. Eros, it's erotic, you know. Love your time amongst couples. And then, but what we're saying is that it cannot end there. We also have community love. We have family love. We have so much. It's so broad. So we're saying that we use this platform as an opportunity for us to spread and share the true gift of love. We're going to be having a panel discussing all these aspects of love. On my right over here, I've got Tandi Makoni and Dr. Meyer. Here, Sis Louisa will be doing our facilitating. Can I hand it over to you now, Sis Louisa?
And Glenda.
And Glenda. You far. You far, yes, Glenda.
Yes. Good afternoon. Hello. Hi. Dumelang, I hope that Hulukile Horibue ka Sesotho le Sezulu. We are a country, a multilingual country. And once again, to echo the words of Portia, welcome again, welcome to everybody, every single person who left their homes today for whatever reason to come here. I want to believe that litlile mo le something to get something. And in addition, there's a lot that you have to give. So we'll also be expecting you to give as you receive. It's a two-way street. You shouldn't look at us sitting up here and say, yo, abarife, luruna. We can learn a lot from you. So what I'm saying is that this needs to be participatory. We need to interact. Ne? I'm also happy to see young people here. And I'm thinking, wow, I wish I could have learned some of these things. But we told ourselves, whatever I can learn, I must implement. I also want to commend those who made an effort to wear red, like I did. Yes, thank you for that. But even those who are not wearing red, we know that red is not the color of love. And as we will see in our discussions, we express love in ever so many different ways. So yes, welcome. We're looking forward to and we must live here, we are fulfilled. And as a business person, I never go away from a function. You know, and hopefully to do business or establish a relationship. I've already met somebody, exchange numbers, maybe you are selling something that somebody else needs. So networking is very important. And as you introduce yourselves, Haribua, tell us a little bit about yourself. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm being reminded that I'm talking too much. I'm going to hand over now to who is the first speaker. Glenda, I don't know if you want to elaborate on my introductory remarks. Let it flow. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think when we begin to think about the Festival of Love, it's such a powerful thing, and I'm just really honored that there are people who live in this community, and when we've come into this community, we've been received with the act of love. And when we begin this, I want you to be able to be part of it. So whilst you have panels that are there, discussing certain things, I'm hoping that we can engage. Let it be an intimate and intentional conversation that we can have. Because what we're doing here, we are building onto something. So thank you so much, Louisa. And
yes. And over to the first panelist, Ke mabitso a sekgowa. Yes, Tandima Kwanesi, she's written a book. Maybe just give us a very brief overview of what you are going to be talking about. Love, and let it flow, please. Yeah.
Okay. Afternoon, everybody. Dumelang. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about toxic love. How to get out of toxic love. I'm a girl that was conceived out of wedlock. My parents were not married. And growing up, I experienced a lot of rejection and an absent father and mother relationship. So for those that were here yesterday, Ubra Nimrod was talking about it. What does absent parenting do to us when us as mothers or us as fathers in society, we are not present in our parenting? We actually leave our children to be exposed to anything else mostrating, you know? So, because everybody is born with the wanting to be loved. So when you don't experience that love in the home, we look for it somewhere else. So that's what happened to me. That's the book, the story that I share about my life, because I sought a father figure, a father affirmation in my life. I found myself being involved in the wrong relationships, looking for a dad, looking for papa in every man that I encountered. And I did not get the love that I was looking for. In fact, it was very abusive. It was also very toxic. So until up a time when I came to realization of who I am and who God says I am. And I do not need anyone to affirm me or to acknowledge who I am. So that is the story that I share. But I really want to encourage parents to be present in the lives of their children. Thank you.
Parts of your book, and maybe if you could kindly share with us how you overcame those toxic relationships, because I believe you have overcome.
Okay, so let me start somewhere. So for me, I found myself, first and foremost, I was looking for survival. I had to survive, you know, and I met my late ex-husband. And I got married to him, not because I loved him, but because of what he could then do for me. He could put a roof over my head. He could put clothes on my body. He could put a plate of food before me. And that was very toxic. And he was very abusive, you know, physically, mentally, emotionally. And I was trying to uphold this high status of this lifestyle. But in the same token, this lifestyle was very toxic until a day when it took a barrel of a cold gun on my head to realize, this is not the life that I was born to have. And I do not have to depend on somebody. What is wrong with me? I am intelligent. I am beautiful. I am well able. I can go and get a job. I can go to school. I can do something to make money. Even if I'm going to clean homes, then I'm going to do that. But I don't have to sit and entertain toxicity and abuse because I'm living a facade. Because I want you to think I'm a slay girl. This is the life that I have. So for me, when I realized that I have the ability to give myself the life that I wanted to have, I then walked out of that toxic marriage, toxic relationship, toxic love, and started from the beginning. You know, I have cleaned people's homes. I have done any job that could give me money for me to put a roof over my head, for me to put a plate of food before me. And this is where we need to be as people. Yeah.
Tandy, you use the word toxic a lot. I just want you to unpack that, and I think we, in the media, we hear it a lot. What is toxicity in a relationship, and how does one recognize it? Maybe first define it for us, and how does one recognize it? You know, there are people who say If my boyfriend doesn't pick me up, then he doesn't love me. You know, that is a love language for them. So maybe just break it down for us so that we are on the same page.
Okay, so let me start from the point of love. What is love? Love is a doing word. It's a doing word. How you feel, how somebody talks to you, how somebody affirms you. You can feel the love in that person. But toxicity is anything that you enjoy, but it doesn't make you feel good about what is going on. You know, if somebody is going to diminish you when they speak to you and make you believe you are nothing, that is very toxic. There is nothing loving about a person who beats you up nearly to death. That is toxic. Anything that is emotionally does not sit well with you or mentally make you think that you are not enough, that is toxicity. You know, it's not bad, it's not good for you. So if we are talking the language of love, love is doing. My mental well-being must be in a good space. My emotional well-being, I must have feelings of happiness, you know, feelings of joy. But if you don't have that, then there is something wrong with that relationship. There is nothing loving about somebody that beats you up until you go and wake up in the hospital. There is nothing loving about that. There is nothing loving about somebody being so jealous that you can't have friends, you can't be with your family. That is toxic. That is how I would define it. Toxicity is anything that you do, putting up a facade, but you know that it does not make you feel good about the life that you are living.
Now over to our next speaker, Dr. Meyer, who is an expert in finance. Kindly tell us about the relationship between love and money, and even could perhaps toxicity be influenced by, you know, the imbalance of money and compatibility?
Thank you, and good afternoon. Before I go there, could you please just all stand up and look at your neighbor and say, I'm a masterpiece.
I'm a masterpiece.
Uniquely
sculpted,
never to be repeated.
never to be repeated.
I have greatness in me.
I have greatness in me.
All are great, good people. Thank
Oh,
you.
yes. We are great.
So let's make things simple and practical. Okay? About money and finances, because we sometimes use these big words and we're not practical.
Yeah.
There's nothing fancy about money. Money is a transaction tool. I need this, money can get me that. And money can be in rand and cent. It does not have to be. It can be any tool that we use to transact. All right? And let's be fair about it, money makes life go round.
Yep.
And those who think money is evil, try not having it. And let's have a conversation. Okay? Now, you're speaking about balance. Now, if we premise what I'm saying from what I've just said, that money is a transaction tool, all of us sitting here with the greatness that we have, we've got goals, we've got vision, we've got things that we want to achieve. And frankly speaking, to a certain degree, some of these things to achieve, we are going to have to need some form of energy, that it's money or finance. And maybe the balance where I want to start is all of us, I like to believe, all of us operate from what we know. You can only give what you have. You can only operate from your exposure, your experience. Your feelings are from the things that we've been exposed to. And to a certain degree, there are many of us who our memory, our exposure of wellness and opulence, it's non-existent. So I do not recall anybody in my family who has had enough. So I don't have a point of reference. So without the point of reference, and that's why sometimes the balance lacks in terms of people think money is evil. Money is not evil, so let's change that, because what we speak, we hold. So there's nothing wrong about money whatsoever. But where the problem of imbalance and toxicity comes in, it's when the relationship, in my humble opinion, of this love of a transaction tool, because that's what money is, it's a transaction tool, supersedes the relationship I have with you, Tandy, the relationship I have with you, Portia, either in a home environment or in work environment, where I put the love for this transaction tool above how I relate with you as a human being, where everything that we're doing revolves around transactional. What is it in for me? So in my humble opinion, when we start putting forward this transaction tool, which we should all be having to achieve our goals, above our ability to relate as people, that creates toxicity in my mind and imbalance. And maybe what we should, in my humble opinion, should be doing, it's going back. I've spoken earlier about when you don't have a memory of enough, all that we've been exposed to, money doesn't grow on trees, I don't have money for this. And maybe what I need to say now, I've learned to be careful on what I'm saying, because I realize that what I say manifests 100% of the time. So even if I don't have enough, I will not say I don't have money. I will find a message that will still communicate without prophesying to myself lack. So money doesn't grow on trees. We all know that. But there's nothing wrong with working towards money. So if we don't have a healthy mental exposure and language and communication about money, all that I knew is that I don't have money, money doesn't grow on trees. When we grow up, this is the vocabulary that we have. And to change and in my mind shift the balance scale towards ourselves is to firstly change how we relate, firstly with self. If you're a masterpiece, you've got greatness in you. Change that relationship with self, because once you believe and you know it, that there will never be any mayor who will ever walk this walk again. When I'm gone, there'll never be another one. There might be a look-alike, but this one will never be here. So once we change that relationship, it changes the relationship with others. And our language and our vocabulary, and I'm glad that the young kids are here. So one of the things that we do, we teach finance to kids, is to bring the vocabulary of money into normal conversation. So it's not a dinosaur. When you're 23 years old, all of a sudden you get your first salary, but nobody ever said anything about money.
Thank you, Dr. Mayer. And then could you maybe highlight on financial blueprint, because apparently that is developed from upbringing, family, and how you relate to money from, your parents being obviously an example on how they handle money. Now, I believe that you could also meet somebody who's not compatible with you financially.
Yesterday, Nimrod spoke about something, and I thought it's a very funny but yet very true joke. Most of us, if not all of us, never do a due diligence when you get to any erotic relationship. And I think that's where compatibility is coming from. That could be a life partner. That could be. We never say, oh, hang on, okay, I love you, that's fine. But what are your financial, where do you see yourself? So if you ask me now, where do I see myself? I can tell you right now, in not so distant future, whatever that means, not so distant future, I need to have St. Island Mayor, a private jet. I will come to Ausjubi with a chopper, just hang on there. It sounds to be in the sky. But if you ask me, okay, but what do you mean by that? Because what I'm saying, I need to also show you by what I'm doing, that what I'm doing today, in its small way, it's moving towards that. So the first thing is to have a fair conversation with each other about what are your financial goals, what are your visions, what makes you tick. Because it opens up for us an environment of understanding where we come from. In any relationship, business relationship, friendship, whatever form of relationship, there must be some element of energy that brings us together. And in all these relationships, at some point, an issue of money will come. It could be as simple as going to a restaurant. I take all of you to a restaurant. Who pays the bill? If I'm taking you to a restaurant, it must not be taken as a given that I'm going to pay. It's as simple as that. So, especially for our young children and boys and girls, we need to start teaching them to be young men who are respecting themselves as much as young girls who are respecting themselves. Anybody who takes you out, it's not given that they need to pay the bill. They can offer to pay for it, but don't sit and look for them to pay for the bill. They buy you ice cream, say, no, I was going to buy ice cream for myself. No, this is on me, then that's okay. That's one. And number two, when you talk of a blueprint, it's quite difficult, Portia, and I said this intentionally probably earlier, that all of us operate from our exposure. But the beauty about exposure is that God gave human being something wonderful, the mind. Yeah. You can change your mind. You can wake up and decide, I don't like this, and I'm going to change it. A simple example. So when I grew up, I didn't grow up from a wealthy family. I grew up from a poor family in the standard of, if you want to talk about. So when I went to collect my statement of results, matric, still remember that very well. I got my statement from Free State in Arlington. And I literally leaned against the wall. I remember standing like this. Funny enough, I remember like yesterday, and I said these words to myself: I will never be poor again. Amen. I'm not saying, and let's also, because poverty is also contextual. Somebody who's got a swimming pool doesn't make them any rich than somebody who can walk freely in their small town. Okay, so I'm cognizant of that. But I'm saying, so my exposure, I knew that if I confined it to material possessions, this is not the life I'm going to live moving forward. I didn't know what I meant. I mean, from that, a lot of things happens. But that stayed in my mind as a blueprint. So do I go up and down? Sometimes all of us do that. Life happens. Now, I don't know. Some of you, I don't know those who are in business. Those of us who have been in business, I've lost millions in business before. I'm sure you have. And there's nothing special about that. But what creates the energy towards building your personal blueprint is the vision you have of yourself, of where you're going to be, in spite of where I am. Because you cannot choose where you are born. You cannot choose where you start. But you can feed your mind to how you want your life to be like. Now, there are many books written about the financial blueprint, They are very well tools, and I like them. But I think all of us sitting here have got one thing that we can make, that is practical. We can make a decision and change our mind that I will change this. But you don't change this for nothing. And this is where your vision of for what? Because you don't just change because you can. You got to change for something. And in my humble experience, in my opinion, I have learned that once I know what it must look like, though I don't have the resources, it happens. The same with money. I've already said there's nothing fancy about money. Every aspect of our life, if we put our vision so clear and we make up our mind to achieve that, resources start showing. People start showing up. And our intentions and our energy will draw us towards that. So those are the two fundamental key things, in my humble opinion, that create a practical, doable blueprint to financial sustainability in our relationships or individually.
Thank you, Dr. Lane. Now I'm going to ask the crowd to stand up. Let's stretch a bit. You've all been sitting down. You're tired. Stretch, breathe. Stand up, please. 2 minutes. And stretch, breathe. So we're going to be having a fashion show after this. I'm going to give you time to do a Q&A with Dr. Meyer and Tandy on my right. Any questions? Glenda? Oh, this one, yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ntembo Mpamba. I'm one of the invited guests, and I'm humbled by this lady called Portia, because she was referred to me by a friend of a friend. And she said, the energy or the mind that you carry, you correspond so well with Portia. And I asked her, what, in a nutshell, say, what does Portia do? I said, oh, she runs a media company. And when I hear the word media, I says, give me her number, without even hesitation, because I understand what media can do for you. But I'll tell you more about it when it's my turn to speak. But my question is for Auntie Tandy. I was paying attention to the toxicity, and I love the toxicity so much, because it's one word that health has actually taught me indirectly, because they keep on saying medicine is toxicity. Now, if you don't understand what medical language is, it seems to say, what damage does medicine do to your body? And how are you overcoming that which medicine is doing bad? So when I understand why she said toxicity, it's a simple term that I always tell people, say, love is a word that we tend to misuse. When you misuse it, it becomes abused. When you abuse it, you diffuse it, and it ends up being confused. And they say you're speaking poetry. No, it's very simple. It's the same when you say, she went into a marriage in the way of saying, let me be loved by someone. But she didn't know that she was actually digging her own grave. Not knowing that she was actually saying, I'll take the heat as long as I'm going to say she's married. But the pain that she went through, she said, you know what? I never knew that it was never love, because it was misused, abused, diffused, and ended up being confused. Thank you very much.
That was a comment, right? Comment. Thank you so
Yes.
much. You're absolutely right. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments before we start the fashion show? We've got 2 minutes. Anybody? About love, about money, and the relationship between the two? Guys at the back, don't be shy. You got a question? Not? You good?
For Dr. Mouse.
Sorry?
It's a compliment for Dr. Mouse.
I didn't hear you.
Dr. Meyer.
Dr. May?
Yes, Mr. Meyer. You know, when you were speaking about the decision you made after matric, you know, you remind me of my late father. He always told his story to say, I grew up walking to school, which was almost 10 Ks every day. They never had stools, chairs, they used to sit on blocks. But he told himself to say, the chairs that I was sitting on was a stone. But he says, my children will never go through the same. He might have passed away a long time ago, but even until today, I have to say, what did he leave behind? Because he made a decision saying, even when I'm gone, my children will never go to that stage of saying, let me sit on a stone. Because he built a foundation that we can rely on. But the question is, what are we doing beyond the foundation that was left for us? So I understand what you mean by making a mindful decision to say, where I am is not where I belong.
No, thank you. In fact, I want to add to that. For my generation, which the three of us sitting here, excluding Mom Louise, will be, when David David wanted to build a temple for the Lord, and Lord said, no, you've got too much blood on your hands. Solomon will build the temple for me. But why am I bringing that conversation here? When you go to the scripture, you find out when Solomon had to build a temple, the resources were available, provided for by David. So what I'm saying is our generation, my generation, we are duty bound to stop eating for today. We are expected to live not for our children and our grandchildren, but for our great-grandchildren. We are responsible to making sure that 3 generations, those who will never even see my face, never even hear my words, can able to look at my picture and say, should it not have been on this man, I will not have had the start that I have. We are expected, all of us, to adopt that mentality. It cannot be that everybody in the family starts from position 1. We need to change that mentality. But thanks for that.
Thank you so much. No more questions? Okay, so we're going to start the fashion show. I'd like the heads of the fashion institution to come join us as well, please. Sir, please come join us. Yeah, please. Yeah, you can raise it. Yeah, because I want them to. Joining us, the head of Southwest College, TVEST. The fashion designers are actually going to be showcasing this afternoon. Love also involves fashion, by the way. Sir, could you kindly tell us about your institution and what we can expect in the next 2 minutes?
Very much. Thank you very much, Ma'am Poshia. It is really an honor to be part of the event. We're from Southwest Gauteng TVET College, from a campus called George Table Campus. We are having clothing production as one of the qualifications that we are offering. But at George Table Campus, we do have the NCV qualifications and the Report 191. And the Report 191 is the clothing production, which are the students that will be showcasing today. And I really believe that you're going to have a great time because those are talented and they are local brand artists. So with that being said, Portia, I believe this is something that we were looking for as the college, where we can put our college on a map and you know, just to also market our student. Because they are living here, they are born and bred in Soweto, they are having local brands, and they're doing a very good job, they are not recognized. And we really thank you for this platform because we know for sure that after here, it's just a startup. We start somewhere to be somewhere. And this is the platform where we are starting now, believing more in the near future. When we are hosting this kind of events, we will be having successful local designers that will represent Soweto. With that being said, thank you very much.